Technological devices in education. Efficient or inefficient? By Castro, Katherine Peña, and Milliette Pedreros. The questions that guided this investigation are virtual classes efficient in the COVID-19 pandemic context? Do Chilean families have enough technological resources? Well, let's see.
As an introduction, we are going to establish the purposes of our research. The primary aim of this study is to investigate if the lack of digital resources affect or not the home studies of the students. And the second objective of our research is to learn about how the students are affected by catastrophic situations in order to be prepared as a future teachers. To understand this research, it is necessary to know some key concepts by contextualization. At the end of 2019, the world was shaken by COVID-19 pandemic, an infectious and deadly coronavirus that has killed thousands all over the world. This status of catastrophe turned our life into a new normality, and now we are all separate from each other in quarantine. This new reality has come a lot of change. Some of the most important are home office and home studies. The last one has been the implement of virtual classes understood as an educational model where the student and the teacher are making classes by a virtual platform. In these circumstances, it is important to be careful about the learning of the students, which means the relatively permanent change in a person's knowledge or behavior due to experience.
Our project is based on qualitative research because our point of view is focused on different personal experience about how having or not access to technological devices affects the development of learning in catastrophic circumstances.
For this study, we choose children between 6 and 7 years old with their respective mother or father. This is because we wanted to have similarities about the age in order to compare as similar situations as possible.
To collect data, we create a brief survey with 15 questions. The tutor's questions were divided between two topics: 6 questions about technological devices and learning process, and 3 questions about the reading activities, focused on the use of technologies for that. The kids' questions were about their perception of the online classes and if they think the change in the modality affects them. The first step in the data collection process was to send the informed consent and wait for the answer. The second step was to implement the instrument. We did it in the house of one of the participants and recorded on the cell phone of one of the interviewers. The other interview was via WhatsApp. The interviewer asked the questions and the answer was sent by audio. As a final step, we transcribed the audio files. Some ethical considerations we took were: told them the purpose of the interview, asked their consent to record and participate in the interview, told them they were free to stop participating and the recordings will be erased. Never said their names even during the analysis in order to maintain confidentiality. And finally, we conducted the interviews with the kids' legal tutor present instead of doing it with the kids only.
Based on the data collection, we had classified the answers according to the usefulness of the technology for the learning process of the students. Some of the answers show us how the technology results in an efficient resource for learning. For example, the weakness Wi-Fi connectivity, the discordance of time and space about when the homeworks are published and when the student can do them. It results in a misunderstanding about the subjects, and in addition, a lack of class time based on the concepts are not being learned so teachers cannot move on to the other units. It also causes a cutout in the curricula prepared for each grade. On the other hand, there is sometimes a technology had promote the learning process of the students. For example, some teachers send videos explaining the most important or difficult concept of their subjects. Also, some students had been more organized using virtual platforms and keeping the same rhythm of learning.
We can see that there are three primary categories in which technological devices show deficiencies. One of the first is the connectivity of technological devices. Without a good connection, the classes could not be carried out. Another deficient area is the homework. One of the kids interviewed said that the homework is a little more difficult because I don't understand so much. And also, the mother said that they try to explain the kids in the best way, but they are not prepared as a teacher to teach. Although one tries to do it well, it is not the same. The way in which the classes are being carried out is worrying also. Both parents of the kids show concern because they are not doing classes by video calls or similar methods in order to ask if they have a question. And because of that, the kids have a lot of misunderstanding of the content, which is considered reviewed.
Some problems we had on the road of this research were the impossibility to interview more people about the pandemic situation, and because of that, the results were shorter than we wanted.
To conclude this research, it is important to reformulate as the first statement we exposed. Does digital resources affect the meaning learning process of the students? Yes. As we investigate, these resources help the students to develop in a better way their learning process. Even though it is important to consider that having these resources does not mean 100% of success. It is most important to know how to use them, and also we have to remark that the students depend on others, their teachers and parents, to stimulate their learning process. And to finish this investigation, it is important to stop for a second to think about the resources we have, the circumstances we are in, and how we are going to use them in the best possible way. It will help us as a future teachers and as a person.